This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host and founder of Special Chronicles, Daniel Smukowski, and a former Thousand Shriver Global Messenger with Special Olympics. And today we're celebrating the Winter Olympic Games with a very special encore conversation. Before we begin, a quick note. During this episode, you hear us mention the Special Olympics World Winter Games in Russia. At the time of recording, we believe those games would take place. Due to world events, they did not. We wanted to acknowledge that context as you listen today. As the world gathers for the Winter Olympic Games taking place February 6th through the 22nd, 2026, we're revisiting one of our most inspiring episodes with someone who truly embodies the Olympic spirit. Apolo Anton Ohno, 8-time Olympic medalist, the most decorated Winter Olympian in U.S. history, and a proud Special Olympics global ambassador. In this conversation, Apolo takes us through his early years, the discipline and drive that shaped his journey, and what it meant to stand on the Olympic podium again and again. We talk about his commitment to inclusion, his role as a global ambassador, and his induction into the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame. You also hear Apolo reflect on his life during quarantine, shares powerful advice on staying focused, and give us a preview of his book, How to Pivot. Whether you're tuning in for the Olympics, or for the inspiration, or the stories that bring us together, this encore episode is a perfect way to celebrate the games and the athletes who move our world forward. Let's dive in.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Podcasting since 2008. This is a show where we're broadcasting disability stories from an insider's perspective, and we are giving a voice to people with special needs. This is your weekly guide to find and joy, acceptance, and inclusion.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Coming up on the Special Chronicles show, episode 385, we welcome Apolo Anton, and 8-time Olympic medals and Special Olympics global ambassador to the Special Chronicles show as we preview World 2 Special Olympics World Winter Games, Kazan, Russia, January 2022, is induction into the 2019 class Olympic Paralympic Hall of Fame, advice for us athletes during COVID-19, and much more. Tune in right now on specialchronicles.com. Welcome back to this groundbreaking show on specialchronicles.com. My name is Daniel. I'm founder of Special Chronicles and a Thousand Shriver International Global Messenger with Special Olympics. Please put your hands together as we welcome our guest, Apolo Anton, to Special Chronicles. Welcome, Apolo.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
It's been too long. I wish we were doing this in person.
I know. I wish we were doing this in person like a year and a half ago. It was so much fun to, but I guess we have to stick with these virtual interviews. I mean, in-person interviews are always better. And since now I'm looking at United Airlines now, if we were doing this in person, I could fly to wherever you are, and then we probably could have done it in person. But
that's all right.
Next time. So I just want to briefly mention to our listeners, support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. Please support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. You can also text GIVE to 833-953-2598. But if you go to specialchronicles.com/give, all of our listeners, you can help us reach. We're trying to raise $12,000 by November 2020 when we celebrate our 12-year anniversary of doing all this podcasting at Special Chronicles. So please support specialchronicles.com/give. And we thank you for your journalist support. So let's get it. Let's begin with having you. I'm sure some of our listeners have watched that first interview that we did on the Abu Dhabi Daily Show. I also shared the audio of it. The video they saw on SpecialOlympics.org, but I shared the audio on the Special Chronicles show after I couldn't get it posted until after the audio until after we got back in the U.S. But for any of our new listeners, why don't you reintroduce yourself to a listener? Tell us about your family, where you grew up, Okay, clearly I copied the show notes on my phone from a previous guest. Sorry about that. But I know some of this from when we had lunch because we first met at the World Special Olympics World Games 2019 in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, from hanging out on the back of the bus, traveling from the 7-star hotel back to our Ritz-Carlton hotel. To our star-studded SSIGM luncheon and our interview and personal skating lesson when we took part in the unified rollerblading. Tell us a little bit about your personal backstory.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to see you again. I remember that trip in Abu Dhabi. It was, man, those were an amazing games. I think that many of us knew what was going to happen in some degree, but we didn't understand, I think, the level of commitment and dedication and support that we would have there in Abu Dhabi. So that was a really, really cool thing, and it definitely brings back a lot of great memories. So my backstory is like this: I grew up in the Seattle region. My father raised me my entire life. Since I was a very young child, I fell in love with the sport of short track speed skating really in 1992. And then again, when I saw the Olympics again in 1994, and I told him that I just wanted to try that sport. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Short track speed skating it's a very different sport. These athletes are racing around this ice hockey rink going 30 plus miles an hour. And it just looked incredible to me. And so that began my journey down the road of pursuing this sport, both for fun, but also professionally, and try to figure out how I can just be the best version of myself while training and every day working towards progressing my craft and my love for short track. I went to 3 Olympic Games. I went to the 2002 Olympic Games, 2006, and then 2010. I've won 8 medals total. Had a really amazing career, a lot of great support from friends and family and coaches. And it feels like a lifetime ago, but it also feels like yesterday, if you know what I mean. So that was a really powerful, I think, moment in my life. I'm a huge believer of sport and how powerful and important sport is for all of us, regardless of skill level. And I can speak from my own experience that I've learned so much, not only about myself, but about my friends, about life through sport. And I think it gives us those powerful life lessons. And because I was able to have so much success in my realm of speed skating in the Olympics, it opened up a realm of possibilities and opportunities for me that I didn't even know would existed. So that's kind of a little bit of my backstory. I played many different types of sports growing up, Daniel. I did swimming, I did basketball, traditional American stick and ball sports, but short track speed skating was different, and it was unique, and it was something that I really thought that it was very, very special in ways because I'd never seen something like that before. So,
did you have a lot of you said that, and I agree, and I think a lot of us athletes and within our Special Olympics movement can agree that sport can, depending on what ability level you have, sport there's a lot of power to being involved in sports like we all in. But did you have when you said you participated in a lot of different sports, but when you were growing up, did you have a lot of ability in speed skating? Because you went on to, now looking back, and get an 8 gold, 8 medals?
8 medals total. Yeah.
8 medals total in speed skating in the Olympics. Did you have a lot of did you have a lot of skill ability in that growing up before you started competing at the global Olympic level?
It took time, right? It took time like anything else. My rise through the kind of ranks was progressive, like many others. But when I first started skating, Daniel, I mean, I could barely make it around 2 laps without falling down. It took me a long time to understand the technique and training, but I was competing here domestically in the United States. I was competing against other athletes from Canada when we would do these North American championships. And then finally, when I made my first team is when I got a first chance to go and compete internationally. That was different. That was really cool because I could see the different countries and cultures and diversity, and we would come together in these World Cups or World Championships, and we would race against each other. And it was a really special time.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned a little bit about your personal backstory now as we kind of transition into your professional backstory and becoming an Olympic athlete. Tell us a little bit more about the backstory. Kind of take us back to the very early days of how you got started in competing at the Olympic level and speed skating and some of the favorite sports. Because as we just said, you are an 8-time Olympic medalist. You're the most decorated Winter Olympian in U.S. history, 3-time Olympian, 21 World Championship medals, so 8 golds, and 12-time national champion. I know it was an incredible experience when we did the unified rollerblading in Abu Dhabi, but I'm excited to when we hopefully we'll get to hang out again in Kazan, Russia, and then maybe you can give myself and my mentor Chris some tips on speed. Hopefully we'll get to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll take you skating. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Last time was on roller. This time I'll be on ice.
Yeah. That would be awesome to. So maybe we'll have to, because I think we have relationship managers that build our schedules, but maybe you can try to mention to the folks at Special Olympics that we can try to put that on our schedules when we're there.
That'd be fun.
Awesome.
I love that.
And so share with us a little bit about how you became an Olympic athlete and a little bit about those that very early days of.
Yeah, so the early days were they were based in Seattle. I used to do roller skating for fun on the weekends. That's where we would hang out. That was the safe place for my dad to basically drop me off at. And then when I did see this sport of short track speed skating, it was unlike anything I'd had ever experienced before. It was unique. It was fast. It was exciting and dynamic. And so my first couple of races were just me trying to figure out what I was even actually doing. Eventually, as I found my way throughout the sport, I was getting the kind of attention of these coaches who had these training programs. And one of them was in Lake Placid, New York. This was in 1996, believe it or not, a long time ago. Yeah. And so I was 14 years old, and they saw that I had a tremendous amount of potential. And the coach, who his name was Patrick Wetland, told my father, he said, "Mr. Ohno, we see a lot of potential in your son. We think that he would benefit greatly from our training program, and we'd love to invite him to come be a part of the Junior Olympic training program." And when I arrived, after some fighting back and forth with my dad, because I didn't want to leave home because it was all the way on the other side of the country from Seattle all the way to New York, eventually my dad pushed me enough in a way that he said that this is going to be the greatest decision of your life. It's going to teach you so much more beyond sport, not just about being your best, but beyond sport. And so I had a great coach there. And within 1 year, Daniel, this was what really cool was that I had gone from essentially being, call it unknown and having no ranking to being number 1 in the U.S. at the age of 14.
Awesome.
And so that was a huge upset for a lot of these other athletes who had been training for 10, 15 years, sometimes 20 years. And here I was as a young kid who was 14 years old who could barely tie his skates. And I was out there beating some of these guys. So that's how my career progressed. And it wasn't always just straight up. I mean, there was times when I had lost and I didn't get what I wanted and I didn't perform well. Then I had to go back to the drawing board and pick myself back up and figure out how I can find more grit and resilience. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned about how it taught you a lot beyond sport, and that's a big part as well as part of my story as getting started as a Special Olympics athlete and then going through the athlete leadership program to now being a Southern Tribal International global messenger, and even like with podcasting at Special Chronicles, like what we're doing now, there's a lot of skills that we develop because of the sports that we compete in that can take beyond sport. So is there maybe like one maybe skill or lesson that you can share with us that
I can
to take in from the speed skating and from the sports to go beyond sport?
Absolutely. So for those of you who are not familiar with short track speed skating, it is a wild and very volatile and unpredictable sport. You can be the most prepared, the strongest, the fastest, and on that day, you can run the race 4 times and get 4 different winners. So the control of the outcome is not entirely something that is feasible. Like, we don't have control over whether we win or lose. We can put ourselves in the best possible position to give the greatest possible chance of winning the race or getting the result that we seek. But the overall outcome is not entirely within our control because there's so many variables and uncertainties of change that happen. And so there was a race in 2002, my first Olympic race, where I was about to win the race. I was like 2 seconds from the finish line, Daniel. It was so crazy. I could taste the gold medal. I could feel it. And I thought that I was going to win. And literally like this, someone had fallen into the back of my leg and taken me down, and I now fell down. And so all 3 or 4 athletes who were in the top 4 positions all fell down. And I had to scramble and get up as fast as I can using my instinct and throw my skates across the finish line to try and win the silver. Mm-hmm. And so the reason why I share that message with you is because in sport and in life, we prepare and we think and we want to get a specific result, just like what's happening right now with COVID-19.
Yeah.
The beginning of this year in January, I'm sure you, along with we had these big goals. We were focused. We were excited for the new decade, right? 2020 was supposed to be a great year. And all of a sudden, just like when I got taken out, boom, everyone's life changed. And so what I learned from that moment was I can't just stay down. I can't just allow that uncertainty to stop me from continuously keep getting back up time and time again. And so just like in the Olympics and just like right now, we have to get back up. We have to throw ourselves towards the finish line, and we have to continuously keep adapting and reinventing ourselves. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, but the human condition is very strong and it's very powerful. And the one thing that we do know is that we can survive and we can thrive. And it first starts with the mind. So maintaining that positive attitude, maintaining that optimistic view, and then knowing and understand that, hey, sometimes it's not going to be easy, and that's okay. But I'm going to keep getting up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep trying my best. That is the most important lesson that I can share. Awesome.
Yeah, beginning of this year, I've always gotten a silver medal at our summer games, our state championships, and I got 2 gold medals at our regional, and I had a goal this year at our summer games to get a gold medal in swimming, and because we couldn't have that, we have a lot of we had a lot of goals, but I think it will be good for us to take these lessons and kind of not just apply to COVID-19, but even hopefully when there's a vaccine and when we get back to a new normal, then hopefully next year, then we can Yeah. So becoming a Special Olympics global ambassador. Once again, our guest is Apolo Anton, 8-time Olympic medalist and Special Olympics global ambassador. So tell us about how and when did you get started in our Special Olympics movement? Why did you enjoy working as a global ambassador and advice for other Olympic athletes, and celebrities on why they should become a global ambassador within our movement at Special Olympics?
Absolutely. So my journey into becoming a Special Olympics global ambassador began about 10 years ago. And this was immediately after my first, my final Olympic Games. I knew that I wanted to stay connected to sport. I had a deep fondness and appreciation for Special Olympics and all of the values and the resources that it provides to all of the millions of athletes and people all across the world. And the first time that I had stepped foot inside of a games, it was powerful. And I thought that I would be lending my time and energy. And in reality, I made so many great friends. I had learned so much. I was reminded of the purity of sport and also the incredible power and strength that this movement has to give to people all over the planet and to those who don't have the same resources perhaps that we have here in this country, and to bring us together in a way that is very unifying and very, very connected. So, I think in a world that is living in uncertainty, that has and is facing significant challenges, the messages and the inspiration and the motivation and the strength that we learn from all of the athletes and the teams in the Special Olympics arena are more needed today than they ever were before. And so to all of my friends who are considered celebrities or other Olympic athletes, this is an organization that it's all about love, and it's about helping others. It's about bringing awareness. It's about unification, solidarity. It's about breaking down barriers, and everything that we talk about, I think, on a global scale. The Special Olympics movement and the Shrivers and the ambassadorship from so many great people. This is what it takes. And if we want to live in a world that is better, this is how you do it. And so I always advise a lot of my friends to, if they have the chance to come and do it live at an actual Special Olympics, you have to absolutely participate.
Awesome. I should have tried to figure out a way to put this on the screen. But there was a quote that you mentioned about love, and that us Special Olympics athlete, that this message, and actually when I became an international global messenger and gave a 2-minute speech at the headquarters of Washington, D.C., to the staff there about that whole idea, that whole message of love, and it's needed now more than ever. And so I'll try to show you and our viewers on the screen, and I will I can send this to you later afterwards, but
yes, that's me.
Hate can be met by love. Us athletes show love when we are met with hate. That's exactly the way I've always been, no matter what. When people have said bad stuff about me and my friends, I smile and I listen and I stay happy and joyful when interacting with them. That's what I've always shown. And so that, particularly that first line, that whole quote that I said, I think can relate to what you said. But do you want to comment on that on that quote?
Well, I love that quote. I think first and foremost, Daniel, it's easy sometimes to react. It's more challenging to respond. And, sometimes when something happens to you and it makes you angry and you get upset, that's okay. But I think when you think about the long-term goal of what are you trying to accomplish, it may change the way that you respond. And when you respond with a different type of energy, I just believe over time, that good karma will build up, and the world needs more of that. And when we meet each other where they are in their lives, and with empathy and with gratitude, I think that we can see a different view of what that actually is. And so, nothing in this life is really guaranteed. And I think we have to be appreciative of all of our personal situations. And sometimes it's difficult for us to imagine why a person is acting or reacting in the way that they are. What are the shoes that they're putting on every day? What is the position that they're in? What type of, anger or whatever it is that they're dealing with. I think it's always the best to be met, I think, with the same things that you talked about. So it's a great quote.
Awesome. And before we take a short 2-minute sponsor break, we'll get into briefly about recently the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee announces the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame class of 2019. And hopefully it's not too late it's a little bit delayed in some of this news, but and this was on teamusa.org that you were inducted into this. So tell us when did this induction happen, and take us back to when you first learned about the announcement, and what does this mean to you, and how does this motivate your work today?
Well, it was an honor for me to be inducted into the Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame. In Colorado Springs, I was actually in the middle of taking this leadership program at the University of Pennsylvania at the Wharton School of Business, and I had received this news, and it was wonderful. So everything, Daniel, that I've received in terms of accolades and inductions at these Hall of Fames, I'm just grateful for them, that people have considered me to do something that was extraordinary in the sport. So I'm grateful. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So one thing, our guest on the Special Chronicles show on specialchronicles.com is Apolo Anton, 8-time Olympic medalist and Special Olympics Global Ambassador. We're going to take a short sponsor break to mention one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back right here on specialchronicles.com. So don't hit pause, don't hit stop. We'll be back in 2 minutes from now, right here on specialchronicles.com.
Hi, my name is Lisa Noble, and I'm a ComEd Energy Force Ambassador and an athlete with Special Olympics Illinois.
Hi, my name is Daniel Spakowski, and I also am a ComEd Energy Force Ambassador and founder of a company called Special Chronicles.
The ComEd Energy Force program is a program that hires people with disabilities to teach the public how to save energy and money.
It's the country's first energy efficiency program of its kind.
Saving energy is especially important while everyone is at home due to COVID-19. We're using more electricity than ever before. Just think about how many more times you are opening the refrigerator door these days.
And while the economy is stressed, it's more critical than ever to save money where we can. Following these tips can save energy and money in this time of COVID-19.
Wash your clothes in cold water and use the dryer sparingly.
Your dryer can take up to 7 times more energy than the washer.
Turn off and unplug any electrical devices or power strips you are not using.
Electrical devices can continue to zap power even when turned off if they're still plugged in. We call them vampire devices.
Use LED bulbs.
They use 25% less energy than incandescent bulbs and last up to 25 times longer, saving you lots of money over time.
Keep your refrigerator between 35 and 38 degrees.
And be sure to use Energy Star appliances.
And last but not least, check out ComEd.com/home savings for more tips and rebates.
Lisa and I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Remember, we are all in this together.
Stay healthy.
And stay safe.
Bye. Quick programming note, you can learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd, specialchronicles.com/ComEd, and learn more about how ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us to keep not only the lights on, but all this plugged in so you can hear us. It's thanks to ComEd. And you are listening to the Special Chronicles show. Our guest is Apolo Anton Ohno, as we're on the road to Kazan, Russia in January 2022. And that is what we'll be previewing right now in this next third segment of the program today, previewing our upcoming Special Olympics World Winter Games in Kazan, Russia, which, Apollo, for you and all of our listeners to know, so my 33rd birthday is January 14th. So I think the week of these games is the week after. So my mentor said we're going to be celebrating, and maybe we'll have to try to see if we can invite you to that 33rd birthday celebration when we're in.
I would be honored to celebrate your 33rd. That's exciting.
Awesome. So with that, I'm going to share a quick audio clip of, this was on Instagram of, I don't know who.
Invite everyone.
I don't know who in Instagram, but somebody. But this is the president of Special Olympics Russia and our chairman, Tim Shriver, making just a brief announcement. Oh, it would help me to make sure the volume's on.
Okay.
We invite everyone to join us in 2022 in Kazan. Welcome.
Welcome to Russia.
We invite everyone to join us.
That's cool.
So
That's
yeah.
cool.
So let's talk a little bit about this, and I've got some talking points that that Special Olympics sent to me. So as I try to pull that up, why don't you, Apollo, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on our upcoming Special Olympics World Winter Games coming to Kazan, Russia in January 2022. So tell us a little bit about when you first found out about this announcement. And
so this announcement was actually semi-recent to me. My good friend Aditra Allen, she had reached out, and we were kind of going back and forth on email, just trying to discuss, what was going to happen with these upcoming games. And look, I think all of these countries all over the world, whenever there's an opportunity to host a event like the Special Olympics World Games and the World Winter Games, I get excited, right? And I get excited because I love the Winter Games. I love cold, number one, which is kind of strange. Most people don't like the cold, but I love the cold. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to showcase not only the cultures, the people, but also talk about the things that are the most important, from the food to the diversity to the inclusive nature that these games are, and the fact that we want to set aside differences, to set aside the things that maybe make us so different. And for a period of time, we all compete, we all come and play on one patch of soil. And that, to me, is what inclusion is really all about. Is it doesn't matter your skill level. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. This is all about celebrating sport and life and people in a place where it's really needed, and we need that more than ever. So I personally I'm pumped, man. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm more into summer sports, but I'm also excited for these World Winter Games.
I'll bring you over to this side. I'll bring you over to this side.
Yeah. So, and with that, with the unified speed skate, maybe not speed skating, maybe just unified skating lesson, you'll bring me over to the winter side.
Yeah.
So and we want to remind our listeners, and I'm reading directly from the talking points that I was given for the announcement of Kazan. So this is all the correct information. That it will be held January 22nd to the 28th, 2022. 1 year later than was originally planned, and the Kazan was selected as the host city for these World Winter Games 2022, based on a comprehensive bid proposal and significant support from Russia, federal, regional, and local authorities. And I don't know if you knew this, Apollo, but Special Olympics, Russia's vision to create inclusion for people with intellectual disabilities throughout the country and region and the world, and they want to use these games to really get more athletes and families involved. Kazan is also Kazan, Russia also hosted a couple other big global events in the past, and I'm blanking on what those were. I think there was I want to say a soccer event. I don't know if you remember, but there was a couple other big global events. I think like some big college event and another event. I think it might have been the World Cup, maybe they had hosted. So they have the experience of hosting global events. That's great to hear. But so what are you most looking forward to these games, and what are you most looking forward to these games?
It's a good question. Speed skating, obviously, number one. And then number two, I haven't spent a lot of time in that part of Russia. I've never actually even been there. So I'm really curious to see. I know that they've got a lot of athletes there, and they've hosted, like you said, big events. And it's going to be interesting to see the differences in the way that a place like Abu Dhabi hosted, which is going to be, I'm sure, very different than how Russia will host this. So this is going to be an interesting time, Daniel. Yeah, and I think it's going to be a great experience regardless. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
absolutely. And a quick question from our fellow SSI GM, Hannah. Hannah as well from Colorado. Mm-hmm. She asked, what site would you like to see in Kazan, Russia?
I don't even know, because I don't know what sites I should be seeing. So maybe all three of us should go. We should make a little trip. We should do why don't we do like a Daniel and Apollo and Hannah on the road, where we just go, we record, we have food, we check out some of the sites.
We should, and we'll make it a little vlog.
I like it. Yeah, we'll do a vlog. I like it.
Yeah, we'll do a vlog. Yeah. So
I'll bring like one of those selfie things,
Yeah.
So
yeah, awesome. And then you could put it on your social media. We'll put it on Special Chronicles, and
I'm in.
Awesome. So let's try to add that to our schedule. So, Kazan. And then Hannah also asked, are you still doing break dancing?
I'm not. The only break dancing I'm doing right now is if I broke a hip trying to do the break dancing. So I haven't done that in a long time, Hannah.
Awesome. So
she's got such a good memory. It's
awesome. And then one other question from Hannah says, how would you like to? What are you going to do to prepare for Kazan, Russia?
Well, I think what I always do before I go on a trip is I want to know who's going to be there. And I want to try to recognize people by their first names. And I'm excited. And hopefully this will be a time when we don't have to do social distancing and we don't have to, but who knows? And if that's the case, we'll adapt and it'll be fine. Yeah. But I'd love to be able to just go there and just give people hugs.
Absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully this will be a big celebration for us to kind of look at the global pandemic in the past, and then as we look to the future. And I'm sure this will probably be one of the first global events after the global pandemic. So I'm sure there might be some new stuff, but we'll see. And so we're gonna take in just a minute. We're gonna take one more break, and then we'll get to the final thoughts, questions at the end. But for the second time, I'm going to combine these two questions in one. So can you share with us advice for our fellow Special Olympics athletes as they prepare for this to compete in this global event? And
So I would say prepare your mind as well as your body to remember to always have fun, and to also recognize that sometimes it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but the consistency of work is really important. So putting in the time, putting in the work, being consistent with it, and where your intention is. Every day that you step out onto some training field, just remember that that's an incredible opportunity for you, and to have gratitude for that opportunity. So
awesome. One of our guests is Apolo Anton, 8-time Olympic medalist and Special Olympics Global Ambassador. We're going to take a short 2-minute break for sponsors, as well as hear a PSA for the Inclusion Revolution. And when we come back, we'll get to how Apolo is living the quarantine life during a global pandemic. And final thoughts is all coming up right after the break, right here on SpecialChronicles.com.
This episode is brought to you by ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives, and Radio is powering us here at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. Thank ComEd for the generous support of Special Chronicles. This episode is brought to you by listeners like you. Please support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give.
And you can also text GIVE to 833-953-2598. Text GIVE to 833-953-2598. Or just go online to specialchronicles.com/give and help us reach our $12,000 goal by November 2020 to help us continue producing the podcast here on specialchronicles.com.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
equality,
dignity,
and the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
You are listening to the Special Chronicles show right here on SpecialChronicles.com. Our guest is Apolo Anton, 8-time Olympic medalist and Special Olympics Global Ambassador. Welcome back, Apolo.
Thanks.
And so there's a song by this Christian artist named Matthew West, and he wrote a song called Quarantine Life. And I just interviewed him a few weeks ago at the first week of this month. So we'll begin with a Grammy nominee, a single songwriter, and we'll end in with you. So August is kind of a busy month for us.
It's a good month.
Good month. Yeah. And so to talk to us a little bit about how are you living the quarantine life during COVID-19 global pandemic?
Well, it was a big challenge in the beginning. Lots of uncertainty. I think we've got more certainty now, and I think a lot of us have adapted. So, I luckily for me, I've been able to work a lot from home. I've been doing a lot of writing, but I'm honest, man. This has not been easy. This has been really challenging, and it's been a huge change in the way that we interact. As you know, Daniel, I do a lot of speaking, and so I get a lot of my interactions and energy from being live with people. And when I'm speaking to corporate or I'm speaking to a large audience, I love that human-to-human in-person interaction.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to have that. So it's been tough, but it's forced me to think about ways in which I can adapt, I can pivot, and I can reinvent myself. So that's been a good part of this.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to travel to Minnesota last month to speak to some beginning global messengers, and I had to speak just last week on Zoom, and I definitely agree with you. Speaking on Zoom and speaking virtually is not the same. I mean, as a public speaker, it's a lot better to speak in person. I mean, like that person-to-person human connection in person is a lot better than this virtual public speaking that we have to do now.
Absolutely.
So as an athlete yourself during the coronavirus, how would you recommend that athletes stay focused and stay in the best possible shape to be ready for competition? I know Special Olympics launched early, but they launched the School of Strength program in partnership with the WWE, but we also have the Fit 5 program. So we now have two kind of at-home fitness programs, School of Strength and Fit 5. But share with us as an athlete yourself, how would you recommend that athletes stay focused and stay in shape, the best possible shape to be ready for when we return to?
So I think making sure that you're eating healthy, making sure that you're eating balanced. And remember, it's all about consistency. So your daily efforts compounded and added up over the course of 1 day, 2 days, 7 days, 1 month, 7 months, 1 year. That can be a lot if you're doing it well over a long period of time. So consistency is everything.
Awesome. Well, how would you be approaching? How are you approaching getting ready for competitions? I know you're not you're not actively competing as a speed skater and in the Olympics currently, but I'm sure you are still even if it's just with your family and friends, you are getting ready for competitions. But
I'm about routine. So I like to prepare myself, my mind and my body every morning and every evening. If I feel like I'm off the rails or I'm not focused or I'm not being productive, I have to reel it back in and I have to reassess where I'm at. So, for me, I do a lot of just sitting and closing my eyes and just focusing on my breathing, even if it's for 1 minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That seems to help center myself a lot. And then I use these little sticky Post-it notes. And I'll show you. So like this is in front. Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorites. It says, don't think you are, know you are. Right. And this is right here on my computer that I've got set up. And it's just a reminder of, don't think you are, but know you are. Feel it. Know that you're making progress. Know that you have gratitude. Know that you can always improve. And know your purpose, know what you want to do.
Awesome. And quick kind of side question here. You mentioned your dad was a big supporter in you growing up, and I'm sure he's still a big supporter today. And we had chance to your dad joined us for lunch at that Coca-Cola lunch that we were in Abu Dhabi, which was pretty awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And so, is currently / was your dad big into competition and sports, or does your dad have any connection with the big global national?
No, he didn't. But my father loves coming to the Special Olympics events. I mean, we had so much fun, and it was amazing in Abu Dhabi. So, but my dad was, he was always athletic and he's always fit and he watches what he eats and he's always very healthy, but he was never he never did athletics full time. So I was the first of the family.
Awesome. Well, what are you currently doing and most excited projects? Some of these final questions are coming from Chris, but then some of them are coming from my mom. So I think the previous questions came from Winston. It was texting me, and then my mom also said, hey, can you ask him these questions? And so, so what are you currently doing and most excited? What are the current projects? You mentioned that you write in. Are you writing a book or what?
I'm writing a book.
What are you?
Yeah. So here's my projects. So I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book right now. The book is called Hard Pivot. It's about the transition of when we were athletes or when you were doing something for a long period of time and then now you're doing something totally different. And so your identity, that challenge of doing one thing for so long and then going out into the world and doing something else, there's a lot of kind of pain and struggle associated. So I speak openly about that. And I just believe that in life, like speed skating, we have to do multiple hard pivots. And I speak about that. So that's what I'm writing about right now. I'm creating a digital program to help a lot of corporate America just discover and unlock their own potential. And that's kind of my life mission now is, I've been able and blessed enough to be able to travel all over the world. And the one thing that makes me the most happy is helping people recognize their own strength, their own power, their own belief system, and unlock that, what I call the gold medal mindset.
Awesome. So we'll, do you know when the book is? And
the book will be next year.
Next year. So we'll have to have you back on when the book is released.
Absolutely.
As a part of your book tour, and maybe we can even do it in person if we can make that happen. But I'm also in the process of co-authoring a book right now. The theme is full circle inclusion. So like we have the right ability to make our dreams come true. So I'm in the my goal is the end of 2020, but it might not be till next year. So, but yeah. So we'll put a link in the show notes to the first interview that we did on the Abu Dhabi Daily Show that people can watch. And I thought it was on YouTube, but apparently it's only on SpecialOlympics.org.
Okay.
So, we'll put a link to where people can watch that. But as you saw the Google Doc show notes, I put a whole bunch of other links. And you can, if there's any other links you want me to put in the show notes on SpecialChronicles.com for our listeners, but share with us, and we'll include a link to that page for the Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame. But as well as your bio that's on, we both have bio pages on SpecialOlympics.org. So we'll put a link to your bio on there, as well as your apoloono.com and your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. But share with us, because we have people might not be watching the video. They might be listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SpecialChronicles.com. So for those audio podcast listeners, share with us how they can get connected with you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Apolo Ohno, on Twitter at Apolo Ohno, on Facebook. I have a fan page and my personal page. And you can go to my website if you want to see and feel what I'm doing on a weekly and monthly basis, and that's apoloono.com.
Awesome. We'll put I put that up on the screen right now for people at Apolo Ohno and apoloono.com. And when you have your book come out, what's the best place to be to let people know about?
I think eventually you'll be able to buy it directly from my site, so it'll just bounce over to either Amazon or directly to one of our publishers. So
do you have a newsletter that people can subscribe to? Or?
We will. We're working on it.
Okay.
We will.
So, but in the meantime, people can just follow you on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yep, that's the best way to get in touch with me.
Awesome. So at Apolo Ohno, that's APOLOOHNO, and we'll put links to that in the show notes on SpecialChronicles.com for all listeners. And just to let people know, they can get in touch with Special Chronicles. You can do that at SpecialChronicles.com. to get connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all of our social media is on there. So instead of mentioning all the social media handles, I'm just going to point people just to go to SpecialChronicles.com, and all of the social media is at the top of the site. So I think that's probably better. Don't you agree? It's better just to mention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go to the website, and you can find all the social media on SpecialChronicles.com. And my social media, if you are curious, is at Podman Dan. So there we go. Finally, as we come to our close and final thoughts, can you share with our listeners advice to encourage our listeners, both in the mainstream community, but also within our Special Olympics movement and everyone across the globe on advice on and kind of maybe tie into that advice on what inclusion means to you.
Sure. Inclusion means to me that it's got no barriers. It sees no colors, no political or religious barriers. It's about everybody. There's only one human race, and that's the human race. Mm-hmm. And all of us here, hopefully the silver lining in this COVID-19 pandemic is that we all come together better, and we recognize what's really important, how important sport and life intertwined, and how can we support and celebrate each other. And so inclusiveness and inclusion to me is bringing everyone together.
Awesome. And before we get to the final thoughts, quick kind of side note before we get to the final thoughts and a little outro message at the end. We mentioned this on the Abu Dhabi Daily Show, so we'll mention it briefly now. But one of the questions I asked you, if you remember on the Abu Dhabi Daily Show, which try saying that 10 times fast. I didn't come up with the name of that show, but you showed us the health wing that you have. So can you share with our listeners?
Oh yeah, my Aura ring. Are you talking about this thing?
Yep.
Yeah. So some friends of mine, full disclosure, I'm a participant in this company, but this ring is really cool. It basically monitors your heart rate, your light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, your latency, meaning how fast you fall asleep, how long you stay to sleep, the temperature in your body. It's really, really cool kind of health measurement and device. I am not the best natural sleeper. So by me monitoring my sleep, it really helps me fine tune the best way for me to get the best sleep. So I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah. So, can you share now any final thoughts on your overall time today on the Special Chronicles?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, look, I'm happy to see you again, Dan. I know that we've been trying to schedule this for a while, and hopefully we can hang together when we go to Russia, and we'll get everybody together. It'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And my great grandfather or some distant relatives that are from Russia. So. So that's neat, and looking forward to not only celebrating my 33rd birthday in Russia, but all the other adventures that we're going to have.
Can't wait.
So thanks again to our guest on the Special Chronicles show. It's been 8-time Olympic medalist and Special Olympics Global Ambassador Apolo Anton Ohno. Thank you again, Apolo, and looking forward to having you on the show again next year to talk about your new book.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dan.
So until then, and folks, stick around for a little video message at the end of the program. So until then, remember, choose to include.
Until next week, remember, choose to include.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Okay, I'm just going to leave everything recorded. And so did you pull up that video message?
I'm ready, man. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Let me just, for the sake of get rid of this banner. And let me just get rid of, so they can edit that out. I'm just going to get rid of this live show. That won't look good. Actually, it might be better if we just do you full screen.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's because they don't need to see me on this, so I'm just gonna. Yeah, that's better because that way there's no Brandon. Okay, I'm gonna give you a countdown, and
sure.
we'll. So 3. I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, and then.
Sure, I'm ready.
Yeah. So this is an Apollo video message for Special Olympics Illinois 2020 virtual gala. In 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, this is Apolo Anton, and I wanted to thank you for being a part of the Special Olympics Illinois Inspire Greatness Gala, which is held virtually this year. It's been a wild time lately, and the athletes of the Special Olympics are training to get ready for the opportunity to compete again, and they cannot do it without the funding that you are providing tonight. So again, thank you so much for supporting our athletes, and enjoy the evening.
Ew. And scene. So cool. I'm going to let them edit that out. So let me go in and just stop the audio and make sure. Good. Awesome. So let me go ahead and just stop the broadcast and see you folks